Hello, Bo here. I'm just adding this intro to explain the very necessary backstory of what you're about to watch. Um, so sorry this took so long, life's busy. But anyway, so basically what you need to know, as you last saw, up until, what was it, up until about September 2019, Tonya was pretty firmly still in the TWAW camp. That's trans women are women, and she she had like one other time that I can remember revisiting the topic, like in early 2020, I think, where like the rapper Boozy made a comment about Dwayne Wade's child Zaya. I think the name is Zaya. And I think she was critical of him because Boozy is he's such a bad guy. But I don't want to get into that. It's worth mentioning, but it's not relevant enough for me to include in this video. The real turning point was it started where you're about to watch now, which is in July of 2020. There was a feud between these two YouTubers, one called Chrissy, one called For Harriet. Her real name is Kim. Chrissy is a YouTuber who specializes in colorism content. Colorism, for those who don't know, is like racism, but more literally pertaining to color. And over her years of doing that work, I think she actually was aware of this need from the beginning, even though some other things about what she talks about and how she approaches the topic have changed. I think pretty much from the beginning she was of the opinion that she needed to center her identity, because she noticed that pretty much every other group centers their identity in their activism, in their, like, even their passive activism that they wouldn't even label activism, just in their image promotion. People center themselves. White women tend to center themselves. White men certainly center themselves usually. Black men center themselves, and when they get in that door and they get a seat at that table, as they say, they center themselves and usually the strongest light. But this thing kept happening where black women, they don't really center themselves so much. They often center men, black men, or they center like light-skinned or mixed race light skin, black women mixed with black women. And there was a pattern of this, a long stemming pattern that was very unproductive and it's unwise, because it's not sustainable, it's not effective, it's bad for black women. Black women lose when they only center everyone else, because then no one is centering them, because they're kind of do have to be your advocate, right? To so it's the saying, squeaky wheel gets the oil. So if you just put everyone first, or these groups in particular first, you're gonna be truly left behind, because the world doesn't center you. And that's what she noticed. So she realized she needed to be her identity first. Her identity is as a black, dark-skinned woman. So the problem that arose on Kim's end was that, I guess, that basically Chrissy had cultivated a fan base of people who agreed, largely women who agreed, that it's okay for black women, for dark-skinned black women, to put their identity first, because that doesn't really happen often. And because it seems everyone else does this overwhelmingly. Trans-identified males put trans-identified males first. trans-identified females put trans-identified females first, and sometimes they'll some trans-identified females I've noticed put trans-identified males first. But okay, we won't get into that. So basically, this putting self first, it rubbed certain women the wrong way. Kim is one of the women it rubbed the wrong way because she has a type of activism, philosophy, feminism where she believes she seems to believe, if I'm interpreting her correctly, that you should kind of center trans-identified males in your activism, or at the very least you should pull them alongside you when you're making any kind of content. They should be your like sisters on the side of you at a minimum, if not the center, because in her eyes, I think she said that they're more marginalized, so they should actually be centered. But at minimum, at least the side of you. Chrissy made a firm stand, though, that she centers unapologetically dark-skinned, black, biological women. And she described the problems that could and would inevitably arise at centering or even including too heavy-handedly basically black males, in her content, in her advocacy. It didn't make sense to her, and it wasn't something she was interested in. She explained she's not against people doing that, but that's just not what she was going to do, which, if you know TRAs, this made Kim more angry than I've ever seen Kim. I had never seen Kim so angry, which is just so fitting. Like, nothing makes people angrier in that community, in the TRA community, than, like, denying males. It's like, just because you're on the other side of things, you're not a right-winger, this compulsion that makes people so enraged when males are denied is still there. It's like, you can't escape it. It's like a freaking curse. Okay, but so the point is that everyone who was a fan of both of them, they observed this dispute, and it was kind of heartbreaking. I'm going to speak personally now. I was very sad to learn this. I was sad to learn the details of how, like, apparently Kim was on her Patreon saying really nasty things. This was out of left field for me. I thought I had seen Kim say in comments, in her old comments, and then in a live, at least 2 times, I am a fan of Chrissy. I love Chrissy's content. I F with Chrissy is the one, I think that was the verbal one. I'm just going to assume she's removed these because she made a point in her video about this dispute, or pertaining to this dispute, to say that she doesn't watch Chrissy, which is, I guess, technically that could not be a lie. She could, but it's kind of a lie by omission, because really she should say, I don't watch Chrissy anymore. But honestly, I don't even believe that. Whatever. The point is, she used to. And it's hard not to, because there's so many things we agree on. Even when we're in these different camps, it's like, and you see someone else making this really salient point, it's like, the hate is usually, hopefully, not that strong. Like, I watch Cat Black sometimes, and Cat makes some really salient points. You can't be denied. It's not like I hate Cat. It's just that, the fundamental disagreement is the issue. So, I was kind of rambling there, but all of that to say that their dispute, that is Chrissy's and Kim's, it spawned this sort of new debate for a while in the broader black woman, particularly black woman community on YouTube. And Tonya seemed to be pretty put out by it, as I was, where she was disappointed to see these 2 women fighting, because I was very disappointed, because I thought these 2 were allies. I didn't know how severe of a TRA for hair it was. I did get a glimpse of it, to be fair, many years before this moment, because she mentioned like one of the first, and I remember feeling, oh no. She's like, no, but she still makes great points otherwise. But she made a video about Chimamanda Adichie. I hope I'm saying her name right. She's like a feminist, a Nigerian feminist. It's like brilliant. But Chimamanda said, like, the thing that got her in hot waters so many years ago now was, like, she said, women are women and trans women are trans women. And this was like already like a no. Even making this distinction was too much. Like, this was offensive. And I remember Kim had made a video about why it was offensive, and she talked to a trans-identified female on the phone. She had her call in, I think, and she did a talk about why Chimamanda's words were so harmful to separate biological women from quote unquote trans women was so harmful. They both agreed. So I did glean early on that Kim was the more extreme type, where even making a distinction was considered mean and wrong and cruel and, I guess, violent. But it's just too difficult to throw out the baby with the bathwater with me. Except when I found out how Kim had been saying really weird, catty, mean girl kind of stuff. That was possibly the most disappointing part of this for me, was because I held her in such high regard and thought of her as so respectable. But to hear she was saying these mean little catty comments about Chrissy, and she wishes she was me. What? The way she presented was so mature. So that just felt so the opposite of the sense of her that I got. And I know everyone can say everyone can be petty, be mean, but it wasn't just that it was in the category of petty mean. It was the kind of petty mean thing that was it was too stupid. It was why would you? It's I don't know. It's a delusional thing to say. I don't know. And there's a snobbery about it. But anyway, this hurt Tonya to see these two ladies fighting where they should be sisters. There should be a sisterhood. I think personally there should be this broad sisterhood, but because I was lucky enough as a child to have a very diverse sisterhood of all races, and then as I got older, I learned the real world is the opposite almost, and there's no sisterhood, and it's awful, and women are too often very mean to each other. Even within the same race, they're mean to each other. Even fellow or white women to other white women are mean to each other, and too often, not always. There's lots of mini sisterhoods I've come across that are great, but too often women are just in a way that I just don't see with men. Men are so there's a brotherhood, bros before hoes. They take it to heart. It's real. It's really real to them. They live by that. And even through racism, there's still, even with black and white men, there's some kind of they both are kind of, they both have I've seen it in my life. Anyway, I don't mean to get into that. The point is that it was disappointing because this was just one step further away from any kind of sisterhood, not even a black sisterhood, and that sucked for me, and I got the impression that sucked for Tonya, which is what led to her making this video, because I got the sense that Tonya took issue with, her first, I don't know about this moment, was that Kim seemed to be being a bit harsh to Chrissy for simply wanting a space for women like her, not including male people in her space, or not prioritizing them, because it's not like she's like ever says anything actively against them. She never says you're not allowed to be here. There's none of that. There's like, of course you can watch, but I'm like, when I talk about these topics, when I make this kind of femininity content, I am doing it in the mind of 4 black dark-skinned women, biological women. So yeah, you can sit in, but it's not aimed at you, is all. And that's too much. That was too much for Kim. That's too much for a lot of TRAs of all races. Um, so yeah, so this is where Tonya started to peak, basically. After that, this is where Tonya started to peak. Okay, alright. Now on to the video.
Hello everybody, welcome in, welcome in. You can tell from the title that today we're going to be talking about other bloggers, right? And this particular topic, it makes me very sad actually. So today we're going to be talking about For Harriet and Chrissy and the beef that they have. So basically this is what's going on. There are 2 different bloggers on YouTube. One is named For Harriet, and her channel, I would say, feminism, history, politics, black stuff, right? And Chrissy's channel, she's very clear with her marketing. Her marketing is corrective, positive promotion for dark-skinned black women. But I'm just like, why can't we all create the content for our audience, and when our audience wants that type of stuff, they tune in to the place that they know where to find that. So the big argument is over trans women and black women, and whether or not including trans women in the movement is to the benefit of black women or to the detriment thereof. And you know what? I'm going to say this. Let me just get this out of the way. I blame you all. I blame you all, the fans. I blame you all. Because it's like you all sit there and you watch the content creators, you watch us. And sometimes you just don't have, I think you just don't have enough drama in your life, right? And so you want to spark up some drama in other people's lives so that you could be entertained, because you know that's one of the things that we love about reality TV, because we're like, oh, we get to watch people's lives unfold in these ways that we wouldn't want happening in our life, because it's entertaining when it's happening to other people, but if it were happening to us, it would be devastating. So I blame you fans for sparking, because part of what For Harriet was saying is that one of the things that I heard her saying was what was so upsetting to her was the comments that were coming out, that people were writing. And you know what? I want to ask you all. Because I remember when I spoke on the trans issue months ago, there were a lot of people who were very angry, calling me all sorts of names and all this, everything under the book, pick me, Mamie, all types of stuff, right? Why does it upset you all so much? Why does the whole trans thing upset you all so much that it'll make you become ugly towards other people? Can somebody explain why it upsets you? We're gonna open the phone lines. We're gonna be talking about this issue tonight, and then after this, I'm hoping that things will simmer down and that these 2 ladies will, I don't know. You know what? Listen. Look, I don't know if either of these women watch my videos, but Chrissy, For Harriet, if you all want to come and do a round table and clear the air, I would love to be able to facilitate something like that. If we could come together and talk and really not let the hoopla of the fans get in the way of what it is that we do here. I would love if we could do that. So somebody is saying, I only knew one trans woman personally and we got along. Yeah, so I want to know, why does it, from the people who it upsets, because there are people who are upset by it. Because when I was talking about it, I was only merely asking the question, is a trans woman a woman? Is a trans woman a woman? And we went back and forth on this for about a half a week or so. And my conclusion, I'll save my conclusion until after because I talked about my conclusion on Facebook, right? I think it's important for trans women to identify themselves as trans women. That's what I think. I think it's important. I know that there are other people who don't think that it's important for them too because they feel that, oh, I am a woman. And from my point of view, I feel that there's a lot of male privilege that comes along with a person who is born and raised into the indoctrination and the socialization of being male, that when they bring that over into the female space, it then becomes a more of a how do we put it, it's more of a, I don't want to say holding the space hostage, but it's bringing that privilege in where they're like, I demand to take up this space and I demand to be recognized in such and such a way. And it's not very female, you know. Female nature is to be inclusive. Female nature is to get along. We have different brains than men. And in female nature is not competitive. Female nature is cooperative. I do think that it's important to be able to respect people's journeys. And I think it's important for trans people to identify themselves as trans because that is a particular journey that a trans person has gone on that deserves recognition. And I think that it's not self-loving to try to force yourself to be a thing which you are not, and try to force people to identify you as a thing that you feel theoretically, that you feel in your spirit, you feel inside of your heart, but then try to force people to feel, to acknowledge that. I think that it's not very self-loving. You know, I understand that there are many different types of struggles out there. I understand that and I respect it. And I have followers who are trans, and my trans followers who come here to my page, they come to my page to get what it is that they need from my page, whatever it is that they may glean that they need from my page, they come here and they get that. However, they are not going to get a person who is entrenched in their particular unique struggle or their unique traversing through life. And listen, I know that there are going to be people who are offended by what it is that I said, and that's okay. That's okay. All right. So you're live with Tonya. What's your name?
Hi, Tonya. My name is Rose.
Hi, Rose.
I'm a Hey, I'm a trans woman, and I just want to start by saying I do love your content.
Thank you.
I started watching you last year when the viral video came out with the girl at the club, and I
Oh,
really do
yeah.
enjoy you
Thank
ever
you.
since then. I have been enjoying you ever since then.
Thank you.
hmm
So what is your comment this evening?
Okay, so I didn't see the beginning of your video, but I am aware of the beef between for Harriet and Chrissy. I don't
Okay.
really know Chrissy's point of view too much because I stopped watching her simply due to the transphobia that um, she has been spewing. Um, I just want to say, from my point of view,
Mhm.
I don't think that my issue is not trying to become. I know that I'm not female. I don't care to be identified as female.
Okay.
I agree with you. I agree with you that um, we should have that differential of transness when it comes between like trans female, cis female, and this is all just vocabulary to create clarity among the community. Um, but we all have that hyphen dash woman. It's like you are a black woman. I am a trans black woman. There are white women, there are Hispanic women, there are Asian women, there are many, many, many different types of women, and we don't experience the same exact struggles, but the struggles that I experience with dating, I can guarantee you a lot of cis black women experience those same struggles. The violence that we face when we go out into the world, I guarantee you that in someone's home, they might have a man that they might claim to love them experience that same type of violence. So I don't want to ramble on, but that's pretty much, I think that we should focus on being as inclusive as possible because I think that we're getting in a space in the world, specifically the United States, where I feel like the powers that be are practicing divide and conquer. And if we don't find a way to unite, ultimately we are going to be defeated. And that's just what it's going to be. Are we going to continue fighting amongst ourselves and ultimately perish, or are we going to come together and thrive? So that's basically all I have to say.
Okay, are you on are you on a hormonal regimen?
Yes, I am. I know I don't have the most quote unquote feminine voice, but you know, it is what it
No. I'm asking that for a different reason. I want to ask you about your relationship with your
is.
strength, your physical strength when you started taking the hormones. What happened to your physical strength? Are you still strong?
I don't necessarily, I don't consider myself a strong person. I'm not naturally a very strong person. Now, I can't compare myself to a biological woman because I'm not, of course, I'm not that. I've never been a very athletic person,
Okay,
so
because I know
I can't speak to any of that.
because the muscle fibers between males and females are different. And a man
There
of
are,
the same size, same exact size as a woman, is still going to be 33% stronger than her. So when you say
right.
that there are men who are hitting women behind closed doors, I think there's a tremendous difference between getting into a physical altercation in a female body and getting into a physical altercation in a body where your strength may be comparable to that of the man that you may be with.
But is violence still not violence? Are you saying that because violence happens to a trans body that is more acceptable because of the biological nature that they possess, that we possess?
I'm glad that you asked that question because that's not what I said at all. I'm talking about strength. So
Okay.
if I were in a household where a woman attempted to hit me, I would have a much
Mm-hmm.
better fighting chance than in a household where a male tried to hit me. If I were if
That's understandable.
Right.
That the at
So
the
I'm asking you
uh,
about your level of strength. What happened to your level of strength when you started taking the hormones? Did you lose
it has diminished, and I will say I have been in a domestic violence situation, and even though I am a trans woman, if I was a cisgender woman, it's still a very scary, traumatic situation. And I was in a position where I had to get weaponry in order to fight back. Whether you're trans, cis,
but see, so
violent.
no. See, and I want to be able to have a conversation with you without you going doing a
Okay.
monologue, right? Because I really want to find out because I've heard that part of the reason that trans women advocate to be in sports is because and be in sports and compete against women is because once they start taking the hormones that things happen to their strength. So I'm trying to find out from you, did you find that you could no longer pick up heavy things because when you started
I
taking the
will say,
hormones? What?
I will say, I can't speak to that, Miss Tanya, simply because I'm not an athletic person. I don't care to be involved in sports. Now,
Okay.
maybe if there are some trans women that are athletic and they care to compete in different sporting arenas with cisgender women, they can come and speak to that, but I
No,
simply cannot.
I'm really
Um,
talking about the domestic violence because
okay.
domestic one of the great tragedies of domestic violence between a man and a woman is his extraordinary strength in compared to hers. So not only is a man of the same size, the one third stronger, a man who's even larger is going to be more than 66% stronger than she is. So that's my concern. So when you say something like, oh, as a trans woman I could also be in a domestic violence situation, but if I had to wager my money on it, I would much rather fight a man as a trans woman than fight a man as a bio woman.
Okay, that's fine. You can say that, but even still, we are still being killed, and that's just
Well,
a
no, no,
fact.
no, no, no,
So
no, no,
if
no,
you
no,
would
no.
much
I'm not
rather,
even talking about.
regardless
I'm
of
not
what
talking.
you,
Nobody should
regardless,
listen.
if I
Nobody
if I could
listen.
just
Nobody should be killed.
okay,
Nobody should be killed.
right,
And I don't think that
right,
anyone
but
should be killed because they're
my point,
trans.
my point is, my point. I just want to make my point. My point is, regardless of whether or not we have better chances, it's still not a fair fight. It's just not.
Why is it not a more fair fight? Why? Tell me why.
Because we are still weaker. At the end of the day, we are still ultimately, regardless of what you feel biologically, yes, hormones do change your biology. They do. And even if we do have a certain level of strength above what you would assume a cisgender woman has, because you also have to keep in mind there are plenty of cisgender women who are I'm sure more stronger than I am. That we legitimately have Olympic champions that are cisgender women who do lift weights, who throw different different types of sporting equipment that could outdo me any day in my trans woman body. That's just what it is. And it's just they would probably fare better in a biological in a domestic situation than I would, simply because they're just simply more athletic. And I think that I just want to continue. I love what you do, and I like the fact that you try to get both sides of the situation. But I feel like ultimately what I fight more with for Harriet simply because when we all come together and we all we all get to a point of where we are fighting white supremacy and patriarchy together, we all benefit from it. But if we're all trying to play this crab in a bucket, let me get my piece of the pie and hold it over here,
You know
somebody's
what?
going to get left out.
Right. I hear exactly what you're saying, and I don't want to hold up the phone lines, but I don't know how many trans people watch me, so I want to take advantage of having a trans person on the line. I think the main issue comes in with saying you're standing on this tile. I want to come in and unify with you, but I want to stand on the tile that you're standing on, and then we can unify and fight these other people over there. When when some people's points, including my own point, would be, why do you have to push me off of my tile to come over and us fight all together? So
I love that. I
so
love that analogy, and I would counter that with, I'm not trying to push you off of the tile. I'm simply trying to stand on the tile beside you because at the end of the day, we're all in the same room.
right. However, you have some cistren that feel that they don't have to identify as a trans woman, that they are women and that they should be considered women and that there should be no differentiation, that they should not have to say trans, that they should not have to have their own space, that there were people who were suing.
I want to know who are these people because I haven't seen those people. I
Look up,
honestly have not.
look up the Girl Scouts lawsuit. Look up Black Girls Rock lawsuit that they were trans advocates suing Black Girls Rock for not acknowledging little trans girls in their awards. So they're saying, well, listen, I'm a girl, give me an award. I'm a girl, put me in the Girl Scouts. I'm a boy, put me in the Boy Scouts. However, that's a tile someone is already standing on. There are girls and there are boys, and my concern especially, you know, so
I
you know
just
what?
googled
Mm-hmm.
I just googled Black Girls Rock lawsuit,
Yes.
and there's absolutely nothing about any trans women.
You know,
Now, I'm not
I
saying
think
that
no, no,
there
I
might be
think it's,
something
hold
on
on, hold
Twitter
on.
and all that, because
Tell me your name again. Tell me your name
Twitter.
again so I can address you.
I'm sorry,
Tell me your name again so I know how to address you.
Rose.
Okay, Rose, in terms of that, you're gonna have to take some time after you get off of the phone and do the Google search on
Mhm.
your own. And then you can come right back in the comments and let me know when you found it, because there's a lawsuit where there's a trans rights advocacy group that's suing Black Girls Rock for not including awards for trans girls. So
Now,
my question to you,
okay.
let's table that, because you need to find the information first. Um,
Mhm.
are there content creators? So you watch my videos, and
Mhm.
are there content creators that are trans that you identify with their content? Is there a space for you in terms of YouTube for you to watch a content creator?
Absolutely.
Okay, so there are trans content creators that you feel inspired by, that are speaking messages that talk to you, etc.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, all right. Well, that's what so we've been on for 13 minutes, so I'm going to let you go, Rose. Jump in the comments and let me know when you found that, okay? And anybody else who has found that, please you can put a link below, because I read this last year. All right? Thank you so much, Mama.
Thank you. Bye
All
bye.
right, bye. Okay, the phone lines are open. And I listen, the beef between For Harriet and Chrissy, it saddens me, because I feel like us as Black women, I feel like it doesn't behoove us it doesn't make sense for us to be out here fighting each other. All right, phone lines are open, and listen, trans lives matter, Black trans lives matter, Black lives matter. I don't have any issue saying any of that. You're on the air live with Tonya. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Sunny, and I am a first-time caller, but a long-time fan.
Hold on, Sunny, your voice sounds so much like mine. I know my voice is a little bit deeper, but your voice sounds so much like mine. All right. So interesting.
Cool.
All
Yeah.
right.
So, here's what I had to say about all of this. I think that, because I'm seeing a lot of people in the comments who are like, oh, I love For Harriet, but she's wrong. Someone wrote trans women don't even like Black women, so why are they trying to be like us? I really think that, and I say this as a scholar, I am a PhD student, and I study racial and gender inequality.
Oh, you hear that? I sound like a PhD student. Thank you. You know, what can I say? Forget that then. All right. Sorry. Go for it. So you are a gender studies PhD student.
Yes, indeed. So I study racial, gender, and class inequality, which is understood and usually conceptualized as intersectionality. So obviously I gotta rock with Kim on this one. Everyone's calling her Harriet. Her name is not Harriet. Her name is Kim Foster. She created For Harriet. For Harriet is the platform and the YouTube channel, blah, blah, blah. But basically, because Kim is a scholar.
I don't think any of us know whether or not Chrissy's name is really Chrissy. I'm just calling out the channel name.
Well, the thing is, yeah, exactly. And that's what I think is interesting too, is as far as I know, I've only seen a couple of her videos, but I'm a big fan of Kim's. Chrissy doesn't even show her face. We don't really know a lot about Chrissy, whereas Kim is a lot more public of a figure. But beyond that, the reason that I think that folks are not understanding the importance of context is that they don't perhaps know the history of the Black body in this country. And that, that's so cliche to say, but the fact of the matter is Black people, men, women, were not considered to be fully human. And so the femininity that they're saying, many of Chrissy's supporters are saying that Kim is trying to take away from Black women, because I see this on my Twitter feed, that femininity was taken by white supremacy. Black women were treated the same, if not worse in many ways, than Black men, because they were the ones whose bodies were used to produce labor, literal creators of the American empire. So Black women were long seen as not feminine. So essentially the idea is we need to really be deconstructing and examining our notions of gender and what is it, and this is my question to all the women who are in the chat saying really transphobic and harmful things. What is it that you think you gain by denying trans people access to womanhood? Do you truly believe that Black trans women are the reason that Black men treat so many of us like worthless? Do you really think that if we say trans women, y'all, we don't want nothing to do with you, we don't have the same struggles, you're fake, we're biological, do you really think that that's going to make Black women become more desirable, not within our own communities, but in society at large?
Okay,
I don't
you know
feel
what?
that
Well, you know what?
that's something
Can you hear me? You and I can have that
yes,
conversation because I
yes,
think that the
yes.
space, I think that each person's space should be respected, and I think that
Uh-huh.
each person should
Uh-huh.
hold their own space. So, me personally, I don't think that trans women, because I heard For Harriet say
Uh-huh.
this, and you know what? One thing that you can do, if you watch For Harriet's video, she said that she had a video with two young ladies, and she did a snippet of why she feels that trans women should be in the movement. She said that she felt that the answer was
Uh-huh.
perfect. I looked for that snippet and I couldn't find it. So if you know the snippet and you know the reason, you can definitely
Uh-huh.
share that with me. Me
Uh-huh.
personally, I think that it's important
Uh-huh.
for trans women to listen. If we're going to fight
Uh-huh.
as Black people, and we're all going to
Right.
fight for Black rights, that's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
But for a
Yes.
trans woman to say, I am a woman and I'm going to enter
Uh-huh.
this fight is
Uh-huh.
not it's not comparable. And I think that it becomes convoluted, and I think that it begins I
Mm-hmm.
think you know how you that were already there. I personally feel that if trans women
Uh-huh.
were allowed to bilaterally exist in the Black
Uh-huh.
women's movement, that there's an
Right. Uh-huh.
overlapping of things that both parties have in common.
Uh-huh.
However, the agendas are different. And I think that it's a very dangerous place to be in. And I honestly, personally, the way I feel about it, when I saw
Mm-hmm.
that the trans woman on the Sports Illustrated cover,
Uh-huh.
it clicked for me that trans women are actually being used for a much greater agenda. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Now, am I removing people's humanity by saying you were used by Hitler? No, it's the fact of the matter. And trans
Well,
people,
no, that's not, yeah,
Mhm.
no, and I wasn't saying that. I think that wasn't what I meant to convey. What I meant to convey was what I hear folks talk about an agenda as it relates to any person in the LGBTQ spectrum. They talk about their existence as being a part of a plot. So when you make being trans itself, right, like the state of being a trans person as just a convenience for people who are quote unquote playing chess, you dehumanize them, because that's how I've understood people talking about gay people. Oh, this is part of an agenda. You know, when they're gay children, can they just be children? So
Yeah,
because,
well, you know what? I think,
but I would love to hear what you were, thinking about when you said the convoluted perspective. When you said, to me, it's too convoluted for cis women and trans women to be a part of the.
Right. I believe that the overlap only goes but so far. And the agenda of a trans woman and the agenda of a woman, of a bio woman, of a woman are very different. They're very, very different. What trans women are fighting for.
Can you tell me like how? Can you tell me in what ways? Everyone in the chat room is being so rude. It's really funny how disrespectful everybody is being. It's really funny. But sorry, continue, Tonya.
In what ways the agenda is different?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd love to know more about that.
What they want is different. What they want, just if you look at what trans women want.
Okay, so what do they want from your perspective? Because my understanding is that much of what we want is the same. So I would love to know, what your perspective is on what they want.
They want to be women. They want
okay.
they want to be women. They want to
okay.
they want, so basically a trans person, right, is born in a body that doesn't identify with how they feel on the inside. Everything that
Right.
happens in their life from the moment that they realize that they're in the wrong body, or that they feel that they're in the wrong body, sends them on a trajectory. And being in a space where you
Okay.
are going along this path where, one, you have no uterus, two, you have a penis, three, you were born in a body that you feel doesn't represent what you feel is going on the inside. Four, there's some mental health things that come along with being born in the wrong body. Five, you start going on the journey to actualize yourself as a woman. Six, you go on the path or the journey to decide, do I keep my genitals? Do I take my genitals off? When do I start hormone therapy? So there are a whole lot of other things that go into being a trans woman, and where it is that you want to go. How is it that you want to be? First of all, a trans woman entering into a relationship, the disclosure is, I was born male. There's no underlying disclosure like that for women. The issues are different. The life paths are different. They're just different trajectories.
Okay.
They're different.
So, okay. Thanks for clearing that up with me. I obviously feel really differently. See, I was thinking about agendas, social and political and economic agendas. I think that trans women and cis women obviously have different experiences in many ways, similar to white women who are cis and Black women who are cis, but there are also ways in which they face similar and interlocking oppressions. So, for example, employment discrimination, housing discrimination, discrimination in the healthcare system, higher rates of intimate partner violence.
And Sunny, we're going to have to get off of the line because we've actually been on for 13 minutes and this is the longest
call. Okay.
But
sure.
I will.
Thank you so much for talking with me.
I will say this before you go, right?
Okay.
If trans women want to fight with women for issues with women, if trans women want to align with women, and you see, so here we go. When you start saying that, now we have to add the prefix cis on woman to be able to,
sure.
So you see what I'm saying? There are different agendas that exist. Where now you're expected for a person to hyphenate now. Because you have a hyphenation, now another person must hyphenate to differentiate. And so there's conflict, and one of the things that is my concern is, just like with the white feminist movement, how Black women were brought in for the numbers, and then when all was said and done, the agendas were different, and what ended up happening is Black women's concerns were never addressed. So when it comes to trans women, if trans women want to fight for equal rights and equality and all this other stuff, by all means, fight. If you want to say, listen, I'm going to stand on your tile, or now your tile must be hyphenated, or this to be able to allow me into this space instead of a bilateral space, a parallel space where you have your space and you have your agenda, and we fight for the things that overlap. The issue is that, like some people were saying, Black women haven't gotten their piece of the pie. So if you want to fight for there to be more pie, that's one thing. But if you want to fight, oh, I'm the crust. No, you're the crust. No, I'm the crust. You're the cis crust. I'm the trans crust. When there's already just the crust. There's already a thing that exists as woman. That's the XX chromosome. It's as simple as that. It's a biological definition. Now, when we start going into gender, because a person feels a certain way about a gender does not mean that usurps the biological definition of what a womb in is. Because just by the mere fact of the word womb in, a person who is not born with the XX is not a woman. Thank you so much for calling in. Hopefully we'll get a chance to talk again on another broadcast.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And please watch the film Disclosure if you ever have the time. Thanks. Bye.
All right, bye-bye. Now everybody wants to call in.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hi, Tonya. I am from Wilmington, Delaware. My name is Yvette.
Hi, Yvette.
And
Welcome.
I wanted to talk. Hi, I wanted to talk about this topic. I feel as though, and I've always said, more so than any other group, I feel as though Black women have been allies to trans women. We do not harm them. We aren't the ones being violent with them. And in some ways, I'm not understanding the push to sort of make us accountable for how Black men sort of treat them by forcing us to accept them into our spaces. And here's the thing, I really believe, and I know without a doubt that most Black women do not want to see harm of trans women. And I feel that many Black women would love to see them have their own spaces. And I know women who are friends with trans women. I just have the issue with everyone saying that it's transphobic to point out clear biological differences. There are differences between trans women and natural born women, and with Black women in particular. And I think about this because there's even a movement with some trans women. I'm not going to say all trans women, but it's been a movement to even say it's transphobic to mention women's female genitalia and anatomy are organs, and saying women have a uterus or this or that. All women don't have that. It's transphobic. And I'm like, it takes forever for us to get to the point where we're not calling our vaginas cookie jars and this and that, trying to get proper OBGYN care. It's how can I say, like you said, there are clear differences and we have different needs. We can be allies, but we do have to say that there are clear differences. And I will mention one of the things that, and I think a lot of times Black women feel as though people still view us as the wet nurses of the world, as the nannies of the world. Like we have to take care of everyone else's needs or soldiers for everyone else's causes, and it's not reciprocated. I think a lot of times Black women feel like our voices aren't heard, and then when people are asking to come into our spots, they're not asking nicely. It's you better. So it kind of I see where both sides are coming, but I kind of understand why Chrissy is taking the stance that she is, because we do need our own spaces.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. Was there anything else you want to add? You have a few more minutes on your 5 minutes.
Oh, there's nothing else to add.
All right. Thank you so much for calling in. So someone is saying, I still don't understand how, someone is saying, the comments are going so fast, someone is saying they don't see how a woman differs from a trans woman. And I'll say this, and you're on the air live, but I just need you to hold for just one moment. Girls, ladies in the audience, I'm going to ask you this question. This question went around on Facebook. Ladies, at what age did you notice that men started looking at you sexually? What was your age? Type your age in the comments. I first started to notice that men were looking at me sexually. I'd say I was around 13 years old when I started to develop hips, etc. It was about 13. Someone saying 6, 11, 11, 12, 12. Continue to put the ages up. You're on the air live with Tonya. Tell me your name.
Hi, my name is Sylvia.
Hi, Sylvia.
First time caller.
Hi. So what is your comment?
You say that again?
What's your comment?
Oh, well, first to answer your first question about when I started looking at me sexually, because I developed really early, so probably around 12 or 11,
Okay, so 12,
because I have a lot
11.
of estrogen, so
Okay,
yes.
so
And then,
hold on. I see people are
mhm.
putting in 10, 7, 9, 8. All right, continue.
And my comment would be, just listening to the conversation. It's just, first of all, it's very interesting, this discussion. And also, I think this issue, I think it's really dividing people. And I think that's like the main thing we should look at is like how dividing this is, the fact that people are so ready to, I guess, reject another person just because, of how they identify,
Okay.
and what they choose to, sorry, this is so nerve-wracking, what they choose to like present themselves as. And personally, I don't really care if somebody chooses to be a trans woman. I think the big issue is, like you said, is they have different agendas. Like they are aiming and they're going for different things. They're looking for acceptance for themselves. They're not necessarily looking for acceptance of women. Like they're looking for acceptance of trans women. And I think that's like the big issue here. And I think that's why people are, I guess, so mad sometimes, like when we're forced to kind of, I guess that's why Chrissy is mad, because we're kind of forced to take up this mantle of protecting everybody and protecting people that identify as women or identify as Black, and it's just kind of like it's a hard thing to.
I'm exhausted. I'm sorry. I'm exhausted. I'm sorry. I'm exhausted. I'm sorry. I'm just being, I'm exhausted. Because this is an exhausting conversation. I don't even understand how. I don't understand. I just don't understand. My mind just went to men and how we don't see trans men demanding that men accept them as men. You don't have a dick. God damn it! Uterus fucking matters. You don't have a uterus. If you go to men and say, accept me as a man, they'll say, listen, you don't have a dick. You don't have a dick. And I don't understand how it is being just pushed aside as nothing. A man will say you don't have a dick, period. That's it. You have no dick. How are you gonna be a man? You got no dick. I just, and then so people are like, exactly. It's like we are constantly being downgraded and making it seem like our parts don't matter, that our biology doesn't matter. Uterus, man, you're not a woman. You don't have a womb. Simple as that. You don't have XX chromosomes. It's as simple as that. I don't understand how this is a freaking 4-hour-long conversation.
It's a very, because it's like what people were saying in the comments about how for Harriet is trying to entertain her audience because her audience is very progressive, and this is what the progressive movement is going towards, is accepting and making sure that everyone feels that they're happy and everyone feels that they feel accepted. And it's just kind of like you were saying, like, and if you were a trans man, like, it's very simple. You don't have a dick. So
it's
as
simple as that, because you could go up there with all of your muscles, all of the hair on your face, your head on the top balding from taking testosterone. You could go up there in all of your masculine man, and they will say, where is your dick? You do not have a dick. It's simple as that.
I think that's like the...
And then somebody's talking about female genital mutilation. You still have a womb. You still have processes on the inside. that say now it is time to pump out progesterone and estrogen. Progesterone and estrogen. And it's like, I don't understand how you are coming to me and saying I am a woman and you are not. It's like, I don't have a problem fighting alongside anybody. Fight with me if you want to fight with me. But if you're going to say your body parts don't matter, your womb does not matter, your position where you hold the space in this life on this earth as the gatekeepers, women are the gatekeepers. I asked you all, how early in your life had you noticed that men started looking at you sexually? We had people putting in numbers as early as 4. The way that a girl is socialized is different from the way that a boy is socialized. Whether or not you have that feeling on the inside where you feel that you are a woman, you are still socialized in a different way. You still have different hormones that run through your system naturally. And testosterone is an aggressive hormone. The male mind is different. So even if you don't have even if you don't have a womb, there are glands that secrete the hormones that keep you female, that keep you feminine.
And I think that's why in this issue, it's because, like you said, testosterone is very aggressive. And I think that's why trans women are very aggressive. And
they don't see it.
Privilege.
And they don't see how they bring their male privilege into a female space. I got into an argument with a trans person because when I was trying to figure this whole thing out, I made several videos and I got into an argument with a trans person live on air. And I had to say, listen, your penis is showing. From the way that this person aggressed upon me on the phone, women don't behave that way. So it's like you want to say that you're a woman, but you also want to aggress upon me like a goddamn man?
Exactly. There's this trans YouTuber called Cat Black, and I love her videos are very informative. But the main thing I notice whenever I watch her videos is just such big energy in a way. You know, like it's kind of like I am telling you what you should believe, and you should just believe it. It's not, I feel like femininity is so much more of a, like, not to be crude, but so much more of a seduction, you know, but like in a way of like, it's a conversation, you know, like, but I think with men, it's like it's just far more aggressive. It's like
yes, exactly. And you know what? Listen, I'm sorry, if we can't get into a space, how do you expect to fight alongside a person and you cannot enter into that relationship with respect? Put some respect on my womb. If it wasn't for women, none of us would be here. None of us. It takes one woman to carry one child for 9 months. This whole world can continue with just a handful of men. You have 1 million men and one woman, they will beat each other and themselves and kill her trying to get to her. You have 1 man and 1 million women, and society can continue on. The female body is important to civilization. And it's like, how do you expect to fight with me when you cannot acknowledge that the space that women hold is as the gatekeepers for life? That matters. Womb matters. Estrogen, testosterone, femininity matters. The female mind matters. And it's like, don't expect to try to come along and fight in this fight with us when you won't even respect our humanity. I'm sorry for filibustering. I'm going to give you some time to talk, and then we're going to jump off the line.
No, it is okay. I love you. Your passion inspires me every day. I just want you to know that. And especially when you are very passionate about a subject, I can definitely hear it. So you are okay. And I just think my final point would be to everyone that's listening right now is like Tonya said, like we are the gatekeepers of humanity. And I think we should all remember that and don't give a fuck about the fact that these trans women want to be a part of our space. Like, Like, just be in your own space, you know? Like, accept your femininity and don't try to compare your femininity to somebody who is not a woman, you know? Like, don't try to say, I think when I heard Steph or Harriet said that, or when Chrissy said that having these trans women in our space will make us more masculine or make Black women more masculine, it's kind of like, no, that's a trans woman. That's not a Black woman. You know,
Yes.
I feel like we should focus on our own femininity and focus on bringing ourselves up and not worry about tearing down somebody else, because that's dividing our energy, you know?
Thank you. And so listen, I would love to talk
conquer.
to you forever, but I do have to let you jump off because there are a million
No,
calls
it's
coming in.
okay.
Thank you so much for calling in.
Yeah, thank you. Have a great day.
All right. The phone line, there's so many calls coming in at once that they're butting up against one another. So let me take this opportunity while the calls are bumping each other out. I'm sorry to have to go off like that. It's just that I'm tired of having our natural biology minimized, because some people, listen, when I turned a certain age, the natural hormones that came through my body sent the signals of fertility and adult womanhood femininity into my body. I naturally grew these. I didn't have to go out and have them implanted in. Yes, you're on the air live. Give me just one moment. There's a huge difference between volleying for your space as a trans woman and holding your space as a woman. There's a huge difference. All right. Hello, Knockouts. Tonya TKO here. And I'm doing this video real quick because it's just, there was something about the last discussion that we had that just kind of, you know how something settles in over you and it just doesn't feel right. You feel this irritation in your soul and you don't know why, right? All right. Hello, good morning, everyone. Good morning. This is what we're going to do. We're going to have a live show tonight where we're going to be discussing this whole trans woman thing, right? And so what I want you all to do is I want you to invite whomever it is that you feel can speak on the subject, because we're going to have a call-in show tonight. And I'm going to open up the phone lines and allow people to call in and express themselves, because the question is, are trans women women? And the thing that just hasn't sat right on my spirit is that there's something very toxic masculine about the way trans women are forcing themselves on us, attempting to force us to acknowledge that they are what we are, thereby minimizing who it is that we are, and also minimizing themselves. It's, if you think about what a woman is, right? And for a person to say, oh, I am a woman, it is disrespectful to the sacred space that women hold in any civilization. Women hold a very sacred space. And I am not saying that trans people do not have a right to live and a right to exist. My issue is in them attempting to bogard the space that you are in and saying, oh, because I have this feeling, I am that thing that you are, and you must acknowledge me as that thing, though biologically there's no proof, there's no scientific proof, there's no scientific evidence. There is nothing that is replicated across the board. Like if you were to say, oh, this thing is a thing, this thing is Negroid, this thing is female. There's scientific, there's evidence-based that every single person that identifies as that will have these characteristics. So besides a person having a feeling, and this person who has this feeling actually has, what experience do they have with actually being a woman and what being a woman feels like. Because you know how sometimes you go down a little rabbity hole. So I've been going down this rabbit hole of this thing called detransitioning. How many in here know what detransitioning is? Put up your hand if you know what detransitioning is. Put up your hand. Put up your hand. I want to see the hands. Brown hands, white hands, yellow hands. I want to see those hands. Everybody who got access to emojis, I want to see those hands in the comments if you know what detransitioning is. Because this is my stance. And listen, I'm going to be woman enough to say I'm willing to alter my stance. I'm willing to learn and alter my stance because me personally, this is how I feel right now, right? I feel that trans people, and listen, this is coming from a person who has a transgender person in my family, right? A transgender child in the family. So I know firsthand that children come out very young and they know that something is different about them. They know that they feel a different way, right? They know that they feel more of an identification with certain things. However, I personally feel that there is space for all of us in our own lane, right? And I feel that transgender people, that it would be most loving to themselves and everyone around if they would say, you know what? I am a unique thing. I am this. But what's ending up happening is they're not really using creativity. They're saying, "Oh, they're only two sexes, so I have to fit into either one of these categories." And I'm like, "No, why not create? Why not? Let me ask you all a question." So my whole thing is, it's not respectful to a person's unique individual journey to say, you know what, I am not this unique thing. I am this other thing which has scientific and biological markers, right? So I am not this unique thing. I am this thing that already exists, of which I have no scientific based evidence that I am a part of. That's my thing. And someone is saying womanhood biological, it's social. Being female is biological. I don't understand that sentence, so you might need to expound upon that because a woman is a scientific is a scientific label for an adult human female. That's what a woman is. A mare is an adult human. I'm sorry, a mare is an adult female horse. A foal is a child horse. You know, a stud is a what do they the male horses, the adult male horses are called studs, right? I believe that's what they call, but don't. All I'm saying is we have biological names that associate with animals in their different stage, right? Woman is not a social construct. Woman is not a social construct. Woman is a name. Tell me how, look, feminine can be a social construct. Feminine. But the word woman, show me how the word woman is a social construct. Show me how. Stallion is an adult male horse. Okay. Every species has females. Exactly. And the younger female, the younger male is called a certain thing. The one that has come into puberty is called another thing. Woman is a term. So see, part of my issue, and we'll talk about this tonight, part of my issue is that trans women are being very male in attempting to force themselves onto women. And I think that it is a great travesty that there are people that are allowing people who are biologically male to continue to encroach upon our spaces and force themselves onto us. And in their male minds, they can't even see how they are forcing themselves onto us and not cooperating. And this is why you don't see these same types of conversations coming from trans men attempting to be in male spaces. And you know what? The last time when we had this conversation, we were talking about female vloggers who one is on the side of trans women are women. Then the other one is on the side of trans women being allowed into our spaces actually masculinizes black women, and both people were on either side. This is what I'm saying, right? This is what I'm saying. Anybody who would attempt to call a trans woman a woman doesn't have respect for what a woman actually is. You don't have respect for womanhood. You don't have respect for the unique and special place that women hold in the continuation of every species. Women are the gatekeepers for human life. All right, so listen, everybody, get yourself ready for the conversation that we're going to have tonight. Think of your talking points. Think of what it is that you'd like to express. And one thing that I'd like for you to do is have an open mind. One thing that you all will notice that I do is I challenge people's points of views, whether I agree with them or not. If you call in, I challenge your point of view because it needs to be airtight. If you're going to have an argument, I want your argument to be airtight. And so Matthew is saying at the end of the day, this entire convo and video is invalid, talking about a group of people, talking about a community that none are a part of. And so, listen, and I completely agree with that. That's why I'm doing this video early, so that you all can gather up all of the transgender people that you want to be a part of the conversation. I'm not going to force anybody to be a part of a conversation. If people want to be a part of the conversation, let them come. The phone lines will be open. So to say that the conversation is invalid because other people chose not to show up, we're still going to have the conversation whether people choose to show up or not. All right, so listen, we're gonna tell a little story, right? And then after I tell the story, my makeup and everything should be done, and we should be able to get right into the conversation. All right. So once upon a time, on a planet far, far away, there were these beings. And these beings were assigned with a really special duty. These beings were in charge of the creation of the face of the planet that they were on. And these beings were born with a tool that allowed them to do that. The tool was a lantern. And when the time was right in their lives, the lantern would be rubbed and the world as they knew it would change and shift according to these people. Let's call them the keepers of the lantern. That's what we'll call them. We'll call them calls for short.
Hi, I'm Shanika.
Hi, Shanika. So what is your comment on the topic this evening?
They say it's a spectrum. Okay, well, I like this thing. I like cisgender men with penises, right?
Okay.
But now that's a problem too, right?
But because I don't have a
well,
problem.
They're saying that if I discriminate based on genitalia, then it's a problem.
Who has told you this?
So they're saying I'm intolerant.
Who's told you this? Who's told you this?
Well, they're saying it on a platform. Like, I know I've been following, this show and, this particular episode. I've been following those two, vloggers.
Oh, okay.
And it just always, like, even after everything that was said, they still ended it on, like, the girl who, Harriet girl, she, on the end of her show, when she was discussing it with the transgender woman, they still, after the whole discussion they had, which was a good discussion, at the end of the discussion, they said, you shouldn't discriminate based on genitalia. this and like that.
Hold on, but I need to understand. You shouldn't judge people by their genitalia. So what is the ideal then? That we don't care what the genitalia is?
They say like if you are attracted to somebody that you think is a man, but then you find out that they have a vagina, then you are intolerant.
Yes, I am. You're on the air live with Tonya. What's your name?
Jazz, this is Jazz.
JR?
Jazz, like the music.
Oh, Jazz. Okay, thank you for calling in, Jazz. So what is your comment tonight?
Well, my comment is first this, Tonya. I appreciate you having this conversation because I think I've been working this whole idea out in my brain for the past couple of years because I consider myself, like an ally to LGBTQIA+. I consider myself sitting in that space, but I've always struggled with this idea that transgendered females or women consider themselves just want to, kind of sit in the space of biological women. And I'm like a lot of people who I'm not really open to using this cisgender term, but, we'll use it for the sake of that. So I appreciate you having a conversation because I find that often when people have this conversation, they are framed as being transphobic instead of just trying to understand, everything, especially in this changing society. So that was really my main comment. I mean, you really, I'm here for it. I'm here for the discussion. In my honest opinion, there should be two categories. In other societies, there are third genders. There are more than one gender. Yeah. So the trans community, a trans woman's experience is not the experience of a biological woman. And there was a conversation around, what if your genitalia or your as a bio woman, what if your reproductive things don't work? Well, I don't necessarily work. I'm infertile. However, there's a specific experience of a biological woman to be born in this body as a woman, knowing that, being raised in society with this idea that you're supposed to bear children, and then becoming of age and being able to do with your body or what society says your body is supposed to do. That is not the experience of a trans woman. So you can't say that those things equate each other, So, and that's the same thing as a trans woman growing up as a boy, and feeling like you're in the wrong body and then coming of age and change. That is not the experience of a body experience because it's unique,
you know. And so I'm sorry. People are saying that
recognizing.
People are saying it's buffering. Let me see if I can.
Oh, Lord,
and I can't type anything. Okay, so the people say that we're back. So Jazz, you were saying that a woman who is sterile, that that it's a different experience than coming in.
Exactly. A woman whose reproductive organs don't work for whatever reason is still a specific experience to womanhood, or and I'm trying not to be offensive. It's a specific experience to women who are born biologically female. And I also will say this: femininity for me doesn't necessarily equal womanhood. It really doesn't. It's really the reproductive part and maybe experience of how we are perceived in society from a child onto a woman. That is more of that. But I know I'm plenty masculine women who present masculine, but they were born in a female body. They consider themselves female, but they may never put on a dress, And so I can't necessarily say that just femininity is that. And then another thing is often, this is one thing that's interesting to me. I find that transgendered individuals often perform womanhood. At least that was.
What do you mean?
Like I said, I'm happy that you're able to give us this platform to have this conversation. Because a lot of times, when you say stuff, people think you're being transphobic, and I'm not. I'm just telling you, what I think. it seems sometimes it's performative almost.
Okay.
Sometimes, not everybody who's trans, but a many. It's ultra. It's over the top. Sometimes it's like, okay, you switching real hard, ma'am. You know.
Okay.
So I don't know.
All right.
That's my thought.
You know what, Jazz? Thank you so much. You are a trooper. Thank you for calling in. Thank you for staying with me during the technical difficulty. And she treated me to a little song while we were off the air. So thank you for that too. Thank you. You have a great evening. Okay.
All right.
All right.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. The phone lines are open. The phone lines are open. And we are talking trans tonight. So you're on the air live with Tonya. What's your name? I need you to turn down the volume on your computer. Yes. Hi.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. So talk to us.
Okay, so I've heard a lot of people talk about fertility and all that mess. And you know, everyone does have their own specific experiences as individuals.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've also heard people bring up male privilege.
Yes.
Now, here's the thing. There are many people who start their transitions at different periods in their life.
Yes.
Some people have started later, like, oh my gosh, Caitlyn Jenner.
Mm-hmm.
But she also grew up in a time period where it was not as accepted, but she also got to benefit from her male privilege throughout her life.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have people who began their transition as children who never get to experience said privilege. And you have people who began their transition, say, late teens, early 20s. Because we all know that men normally get paid better than women. It's well documented.
Okay. So let's get to the crux of what it is that you're talking about. So you're talking about males who transition later versus earlier, and that there's some trans women who have never experienced male privilege. This is what you're saying?
Yes. Like myself, I transitioned when I was 8 years old. I began my transition at 8. And I am currently 26.
Okay.
So, for me personally, and you know, I'm also white, so I do have my white privilege, and I do acknowledge that. And I also have friends who are trans women of color, and their experiences are a lot more difficult than my own.
Okay.
They have dealt with. Sorry, I'm really nervous.
Oh, well, you know what? You can take
They
a
have-
deep. Hold on. Tell me your name again.
Okay, I think I'm good now. So, there is something that I have noticed with a lot of trans individuals, especially with, you know, the workforce. Women already have difficulties with getting better jobs. Black women have an even more difficult time getting good jobs. And then you have trans women who have passing privilege and they can get decent jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have those who don't have passing privilege and or are also of color. A lot of people they have this image or this ideal that trans women are sexually deviant creatures because we're often found a lot in sex work.
Right, of course.
But
listen to what listen. So these are things that we know. The plight of a transgender person, let's just start with the transition. By the time you're 7, your subconscious mind is already formed. 7 through 9, your subconscious mind is already formed. So a person who is raised in maleness, even up to the age of 7, has already been indoctrinated into the ways of society and has already been regarded. Being born with a penis. Let's survey the audience. So the numbers are going to be 1. Oh no, actually, I'm just going to ask for an age. So I'm going to ask the XX chromosome women out there, at what age do you remember being the first time that your parents told you to close your legs as you sat? What is the age that you remember the first time that your parents told you to close your legs? So I want to see those numbers come up, because even so much as being born with a penis, the body is regarded differently, because there isn't that. So people are putting up 5, 4, 6, 7, 5 or 6, right? Being born with a penis and changing a pamper from a child who has a penis is a lot different than changing the pamper of a child who has a vagina, because there is there's a delicacy that is involved with a child. If you think about it, it's right there. They defecate in the pamper, they urinate in the pamper, and parents already get the sense that there's a delicacy that is involved in the female child, because the female child is the holder of the lantern. So even just so much as being a boy child, at 3, you are socialized different. A 4-month-old is socialized different just from even the changing of the pamper. So when you say that, so you can acknowledge your white privilege, but you won't acknowledge your male privilege, the fact that you were never told to sit like a lady, the fact that that it was never indoctrinated into you that you have this vagina between your legs, that is this precious thing that you have to guard at all costs. You were a person who had testicles hanging down low outside of your body, and there's a different indoctrination that happens sociologically, and there's privilege that exists. First of all, even having the amount of testosterone that pumps through the male body, and when you have the testosterone and the privilege that comes along with that, it's a completely different thing. Do you feel that you are a woman?
Yes, I do. I feel that, but I do acknowledge my genetics. I tell people all the time, scientifically, biologically, yes, I am male, but that is not my identity.
Okay.
And I do acknowledge that, because the science, it does not lie. But it's how I walk through life. Now, I completely acknowledge the fact that a bio woman's experience is completely, I wouldn't say completely different from mine, but there are a lot of differences. But there is a lot that we can also connect on. A lot of the times women are victimized, and so are trans women, and we a lot of the times find comfort in a lot of the same things. And my question, I guess I have this question, is whenever you're talking about female spaces, exactly what do you mean by that?
Well, female spaces will mean different things to different people, but to me, a female space is even the side of a debate where women are debating, and then trans women come into the debate and feel that they should be able to contribute to the debate because they are trans women. Like, okay, and then there's Black Girls Rock. So there's an organization called Black Girls Rock, which was heavily criticized and called to task because a transgender group said that Black Girls Rock did not honor trans women, did not have any trans women on the platform, and didn't have trans girls on the platform. So there are physical women's spaces, there are theoretical women's spaces. That I was organizing a retreat called Women in the Wild, and there were 2 transgender people that wanted to come to the retreat because they feel that they're women. But one of the things that we were going to do on the retreat is a yoni steam. Another thing that we were doing is nakedness in the wilderness. And so there's so that's a female space. Black Girls Rock is a female space. Battered Women's Shelter. Someone called in the other day about a battered women's shelter in Canada that had their funding removed because a transgender group complained that trans women were not allowed to come to the battered women's shelter. So when you say that there are similarities, okay, there may be similarities, but I mean, there's overlap in many different areas. There's overlap between between white people and black people, we all get up and go to work, and we all do these same things. However, having a safe space for black people to be able to discuss the things happening in the black community is a lot different than opening it up for other people who may have similar experience, who are inherently privileged. You know, I mean, there's a privilege in being able to transition or begin your transition early. There's a privilege, like you said, in being able to pass.
100% agree.
You know, and there are there are similarities. However, there are things that are inherently, I think that there's a tremendous amount of disrespect and arrogance involved in stating that you are a thing which you could never really fully grasp the true meaning of that thing, without also having biologically the physical components as well as the psychological components that come along with having those physical components. Because there is, from the moment that your parents find out that you're a female, and you have that first of all, girl babies are born with all of their eggs, and from the time that your parents realize that you're female, you are regarded in a different way. They did an experiment, it was in this documentary, where they dressed boy babies and girl babies in the opposite clothing. And they had people, because you can't tell the difference between a girl baby and a boy baby. They had people come in and play with the boy babies and play with what they thought were girl babies. And the way that they played with the children was different. People went for the trucks, and they went for these types of things, and they began to develop the spatial part of the boys' minds with the different toys that they were playing with. And when they went to the girls, they were coddled, and they were treated very preciously and delicately, a delicate way that they do not treat boy babies. And so even if a person transitions at 8, by the time that they're 8, the subconscious mind is already formed. And there are things that are inherent in that socialization that have already created a great portion of who it is that you will grow to be.
So I'm going to give you, a little more backstory. So I started my public transition at 8. Behind the scenes, growing up, my mother, we always did the whole hair and makeup thing. She always worked in salons, and ever since I could assert myself, which was about 18-ish months, it was always about the more feminine aspect, while also having a lot of male things pushed upon me, which once again, there are still a lot of things that, I would never experience as a bio female. And once again, I do acknowledge that. But it's not like one day, within a short amount of time, that all of this just happened. It took a lot of time because, it was the 90s and early 2000s, and nobody really knew much about any of this back then.
Okay, well, you know what?
So
I want to keep the call short. We've been on for 15 minutes, and so we've gone 3 times the length that we would have preferably gone. I appreciate you calling in, and your point of view is important. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and I hope you have a fantastic evening.
You too. You're on the air live with Tonya. What's your name?
Oh my God, am I really on? My name's Mel.
Your name is what?
Mel, N-E-L, Mel.
Hi, Mel. What is your comment this evening?
I saw your last live, and this whole transgender thing, I have no problem with it as far as them having their own space, me having their own space. My problem is all of the verbiage. Every week it feels like there's new vocabulary to describe things that already exist.
Okay.
And I find that some of this terminology is already overlapping with things that already are going on.
And so this is why I say that transgender women are not women. They are something there's something special. They have a special journey, and I think it's actually belittling to them to try to force them to confine themselves to a category of woman when their journey is different than the journey of a woman. And so you're saying that there's too many terms, and I actually think that the terms actually help us be able to allow people. As a matter of fact, I wish that there were another gender term so that they didn't have to feel like they had to choose one of two. If we had 4 gender terms and people could be like, I am this, and there were pronouns, because ideally what would exist is a society where people are honored for their unique experience and traversing through life. So that if a person was born male and they say, you know what, I feel it in my spirit that I am feminine, because being feminine and being a woman are different things. And so I just wish that there were a space for people to exist.
Yeah, which I absolutely agree.
All right. I think it's important that we acknowledge different people's journeys. You know, we have the privilege of not having to have that fight in our lives, and I think that it's important that we acknowledge people who do.
I just caught the last bit, but I'm transgender myself, and I was just calling in, and I wound up getting some information from a friend of mine, and I was like, well, you should look at her videos. I guess they had seen your video from a prior time, and a lot of the stuff that I've been noticing is that a lot of people have a problem with is labels, like trans woman, cis woman, trans man, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry?
No, I said mm-hmm.
And so I find that a lot, like, oh, how can I explain it? It's well, I'll go to an example.
Mm-hmm.
A woman was talking about why does she feel like she has to have the word cis in front of woman? Why can't she just be a woman?
Mm-hmm.
And then another one of our friends had brought up well, why do I have to have trans before that? Why can't I just be a woman? And it got to what came to me was like, okay, well, what should be the word for a female energy? Because I think that is what everyone's trying to, or like how we have the word black, which kind of describes like all dark-skinned people, but not all dark-skinned people are the same. Like we have our own nationalities, we have our own languages, but for some reason we're all grouped up into one box. So I think that's kind of where the issue lies. It's like, okay, well, cis women, we want or they want their own box. Trans women, do they want their own box, or do they want to be like that? I feel like that's where a lot of the arguments come into. Me personally, I don't specifically identify myself as really much anything. I'm kind of still learning myself specifically, but I do fall under the transgender category. But I do have friends who are intersex.
Mm-hmm.
I do have friends who are transsexuals, and a lot of them even speak on like, okay, yeah, I'm going to speak on third person, but my friend who's intersex, she falls under being a trans because her sex or her gender was changed when she was a baby, so she didn't really have the choice to kind of like say, okay, I want to be this, I want to be that. She was kind of just like thrown into that.
So when you say she had her gender changed, so her penis was cut off?
Yes. So her penis was cut off, and so she grew up as a woman, but inside her, she felt as if she was a male, but she didn't necessarily have the choice to do that. Or I don't know if that's, if for lack of better words, but her body didn't have the choice to choose what it wanted to be.
Gotcha.
She just, okay, I want a male, or I want a female, so I'll cut it off and you're a girl.
Got you. So now she's living as a male.
Yes. or she's trying to live her life as that, but it's well, clearly it's complicated, but it's, I don't know, I think people have the misconception that it's a choice all the time. Like, it's not necessary, because not everybody has that choice.
Yeah, no, so listen, as a person whose penis was chopped off as a baby, that's a completely different conversation. In terms of the trans conversation, so I think part of the issue is that there are a great number of trans women who feel that they don't need to have the word trans in front of woman, and that they have the same plight as women, so they should be regarded as women. And like, I was watching, somebody told me to watch the documentary Disclosure earlier today, and in the documentary, did you see the documentary Disclosure?
I didn't catch that one yet, no.
Okay, so
but I'm listening. Go ahead.
So in the documentary, there was a trans woman who was like, why should I have to disclose that I'm a trans woman? The fact that that there's this assumption of disclosure, just adds to the fact that that there's something different about me than women. And I'm like, yes, there is something different about you than a biological woman. And I think.
So does it fall under? Because I don't know, I kind of feel a little bit weird when it comes to that, because me specifically, I don't really necessarily feel like it's people's business other than the person that I'm dating. Like, if I'm getting a relationship with someone, then I'll have the conversation. But as far as like a day-to-day life, like, I don't feel like it should be like the sign above my head, this is a trans woman. You know what I'm saying? Because, for instance, it was an article about an actress who was going to play a role, but in the front they had, this trans woman is going to play this role. They wouldn't have this woman is going to play this role. So it's like, why does that have to be like the main focus of all the attention?
And I think that's where the discord comes in. The discord comes in from people who are not biologically women, who are not scientifically women, who have had a very
aren't we all born female?
I'm sorry?
Aren't we all born female in the womb?
No, we're not. The chromosomes, every in the development of a fetus, every fetus develops as female until that
with the Y chromosome,
a fetus cannot exist on its own outside the womb. A fetus is an incomplete human being. Once the human being is finished developing, it is then time for the human being, under ideal circumstances, once it's finished developing. And can somebody Google this? At what stage in the fetus development is the genitalia formed? So excuse me. I don't want to put you on mute, which I've just had to do. If we're going to have a conversation, then we need to allow each other to talk. Right. So I want somebody to just Google at what stage of development is between 10 and 16 weeks the genitalia begins developing. So human fetuses look like little pig fetuses when they're first developing. That doesn't mean that we're meant to be pigs when we come outside of the womb. When the chromosomes, when our DNA starts doing what the DNA is supposed to do, then we are formed into how it is that we are supposed to be formed, and then we're able to come out of the womb, because we're talking about genitalia being formed at 10 weeks.
So what about intersex people? They have kind of both. So I don't think can we even classify them, because they kind of break the spectrum?
Don't intersex people have a certain amount of chromosomes? I believe the chromosomes for an intersex person is X. I don't know what the chromosomes for an intersex person are, but this conversation isn't about intersex people. This conversation is about trans women, and just like we just had that little conversation
And
that we had.
I know people who are intersex who fall under trans women, which is why I'm bringing it up.
Right. So, listen. If the transgender brain is different than the male brain and the female brain. A person who is developed as intersex is a person who has an XXY chromosome, I believe. A person whose penis is chopped off as a child, that person is I guess by circumstances. This is why they need to come up with a new term for that if there are that many people. But this conversation is really about trans women feeling as if they are owed being in women's spaces, feeling as if they do not have to disclose, and it's actually disrespectful to the trans person's experience. The trans person transitioned into being whichever gender it is that they felt the internal calling. But the science does not show that their chromosomes, their sex organs does not show that their organs are of the gender that they say that they identify with. So there is a completely different journey that a trans person goes on than a person who is biologically that gender or that sex.
No, I'm not quite sure about that, but I will agree to disagree.
Which part are you not sure about? You're not sure about whether or not a transgender person's journey is different than the journey of a girl to a woman?
No, because for me, growing up, I did not experience a male journey or a transgender journey. I grew up as a girl. So I know certain people who also grew up that way. So
were you born with testicles? Were you born with testicles?
I'm sorry?
Were you born with testicles?
I was also born intersex, but this is why I'm trying to have the conversation.
So you're intersex and you're calling in to talk on the transgender issue. Were you born with testicles?
Yes.
You were born with testicles. So you were born in such a way that you had sperm cells. You were born in such a way that you had testosterone pumping through you. And you made a transition when you were how old?
I want to say 19.
19 what? Months?
19 years old.
You were 19 years, you had a penis up until 19 years old?
Oh, I'm sorry, you said penis? No, I had a penis until I was about 6. So, when I fully started transitioning and when I was about 19, I'm sorry.
Okay. So you were socialized, so you're saying that you were not socialized as a boy?
No.
So
I didn't even know the concept of what a trans person was.
You had a penis up until
intersex person was. I didn't know the concept.
I'm so sorry. I'm trying to understand. You had a penis up until 6, or you had a penis up until 19?
I had a penis until 6. When I started fully transitioning, and I was 19.
So at 6, what happened to your penis?
It was surgically removed.
At the age of 6?
Yes.
I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that was legal.
A lot of these cases happen when kids are young. And this is another thing that a lot of people, and this is why people don't know about it. It's not like a talk or a around the table discussion, because a lot of the times that children, I would say specifically, go through this is mostly when we're born. Like, we're born and then the doctor asks you, okay, well, this is what it is. So do you either want a boy or do you want a girl? My family kind of wanted to give me the option, quote unquote, I should say, of what I wanted to be, or in my mother's term, she wanted to see how I was growing up before she decided to do anything. So
okay.
I was growing up as a girl.
At what age did you get your period? At what age did you get your period?
I want to say around 12, 13, 12.
And so you're saying
And like I said, I did not know anything about anything. When I got my period, I didn't understand what was going on, so my mom had to explain it. I didn't know anything about nothing.
How old were you when your mother told you for the first time that you needed to sit with your legs closed?
I was about, well, she taught me that as a little girl. All my siblings, all my sisters. We were never supposed to sit with our legs open.
So you're saying that when you were born, your penis was damaged, but you still had your testicles remaining. And then when you became 6, your mother allowed you to make the decision to have your penis surgically removed and inverted into a vagina.
No, it wasn't necessarily. I don't want to put words in her mouth because I can't speak for her. She's gonna speak for herself. But it was more of okay, this is what she's growing up to. So I guess to kind of stop the confusion and to kind of like, I don't want to say normalize me, but kind of like put me into a category. Okay, it's a girl.
So you're saying you have a uterus.
I'm sorry?
You're saying you have a uterus.
No.
How did you get your period without a uterus? I'm curious about this.
This is where it gets interesting. So, by me being intersex, my hormones fluctuated. So when I turned 12 and I started going through my hormones, I started bleeding.
When my
mother took, I'm sorry?
What was bleeding?
Go ahead.
What was bleeding?
My vaginal area.
So you had uterine lining that was coming out, or you just had blood coming out of you? Was it uterine lining? Was it menses?
It was like it was blood. It was blood.
So it was not menses. It was not uterine lining.
No, it was blood. it was straight blood.
All right. Thank you so much for calling in and sharing this story with us. We appreciate you taking the time to fill us in. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. You're on the air live with Tonya. What's your name?
Oh, hi.
Yeah, hi.
I would like to be referred to as anonymous.
Okay, anonymous, you're on the air.
Okay, so basically, I just want to say that I really don't agree with trans women inserting themselves into this space intended for biological women.
Well, why not? We got people with no uterus who are having periods now. Why can't they? I mean, they got phantom periods coming out of mutilated vaginas. I don't know what the hell is going on out here.
If I may, can I go ahead and explain why I would disagree with it?
Sure.
Okay, so first of all, I think that, first of all, there are thousands of different spaces for people that identify thousands of different ways. So I say, if that's the case, let there be thousands of spaces. And I think there is a space for trans women. And
hold on. I'm sorry. I just need to address something in the comments. There is not a human being on earth who has a menstrual cycle who does not have a uterus. It's as simple as that. If you don't have a uterus, there's no uterine lining. We all know what menstruation is. Menses is the breakdown of the uterine lining where no implantation into the uterus occurs, and menses is not blood. It's a mixture of fluid and the uterine lining that was built there to be able to feed the attached embryo. If you do not have a uterus, you do not menstruate. It's as simple as that. If there's a person who's experiencing some sort of blood or phantom blood and all of that, listen, there are people without limbs that feel phantom limbs moving. So I cannot attest to anybody's state of mental health or wellness, but I know for a damn fact, and if there's anybody out there who's confused about it, you better go pick up a biology book. If you don't have a uterus, there's no uterine lining to break down at the end of every 28 days. And if there's something that is bleeding from your body, then you need to go see a doctor ASAP, because menses is about more than just having hormones. There has to be a uterus there for the uterine lining to break down from. So you could come here and you could puff up my ear with whatever it is that you want to puff up my ear with. But I'm going to tell you this right now: if there's no uterus, there ain't no menstruation. It's as simple as that. So go ahead. I'm sorry, dear. I just needed to clear that up. Listen, there are a lot of people who want all different types of attention, and they take advantage of people who don't have the know-how or don't have the inside information to be able to call them out on it. But when there's a person who calls in and says that at 6 years old, their mother took them to have their penis chopped off, we all have to start wondering what the hell. And then talking about the finishing of the transition happened at 19. So at 6, you had your penis chopped off. So what, you just had no penis and 2 balls hanging down low till you were 19? And then your period was coming down in between the balls, but it wasn't a period, it was blood? Come on. I mean, everybody who has their period, like, I don't want to go and give the education out there, because every woman who's had her period knows that it's not blood. You all are getting on my nerves this evening. From the time that somebody told me that their mutilated penis was menstruating, I knew that I was done with you all. We're supposed to be having a serious conversation. You're on the air live with Tonya. What's your name?
Hello, Tonya. This is Nadine calling. How are you?
Your name is Nadine?
Nadine, yes. I've called once 2 months ago.
Okay. Hi, Nadine. So come with it now.
Hi.
Now it's after midnight,
All
and
right.
I can already tell the craziness hasn't begun.
Yeah. I know you're tired. I know you're mad. You're sweating. You're tired. You need to go.
Not
Okay,
sweating.
let me end this on a cute note.
Moist.
All right.
Go ahead.
All right. So, I am a gay person. Okay. I'm 24 years old. I just turned 24 years old. And when did I realize that I was gay? Well, I realized maybe around 13 or 12, but I was always staring at men real hard around maybe 7 years old. So I've had that attraction in me from a very young age. I just didn't know what it was. Okay. And by 17 years old, I went on a date with this girl. I thought I loved her. I thought I liked her. And we didn't do anything sexual. I've never even kissed a girl on the lips. Because I had, at the time, by 17, I thought I could be bisexual. I thought. Or maybe I tried to dump the gay and maybe be bi. Thank God that didn't go nowhere, because the girl left back to Korea. And I did not end up doing nothing with no coochie. And nowadays, by maybe 19, 20 years old, I know for sure that I am 100% gay and I'm not attracted to vagina.
Okay.
Yeah. So the reason I said all of that is gay men, okay, one thing, gay men are not attracted to, usually, the majority, I should say, we are not attracted to trans women. I do not want to feel no big old titties on my back. I don't want to feel long, wavy, gorgeous hair on my back. None of that.
Why would it be on your back? Oh, okay. All right. I think I got the picture.
Right,
I
yeah.
got the picture.
Yeah. During sex, yes. I don't want to feel no titties, because for a woman every time I think of a woman, I get a picture of my mother. It's just something pure about a woman that I just do not want to go and corrupt it. And it's just, for me as a gay person, I just can't look at a vajayjay. It's just, I just
well,
can't.
You don't have to worry about that, because a pre-op trans person doesn't have a vagina, so you got the penis that you love.
Right, but the kitties are there and the face looks feminine, so, and nails and all that. That looks too much close to a female.
So what is your
What
what
I
is
need
your
is
comment? How
all
does
right.
this relate to
Go ahead.
transgender? Go ahead, please.
All right, so this is related to transgender because a lot of like, why do transgender women always end up with these straight quote unquote men? Why is it always? Because gay men, we want testosterone, we want that muscle, we want that sweat. That's why we always go to the gym. We want that sweat, that masculinity. Transgender woman is it's too close to a natural born, or AKA a cisgender woman. A cisgender woman is just simple, is whatever the doctor wrote on the birth certificate, that's what you identify with. That's what cisgender is.
Hold on.
Okay.
I'm sorry, hold on. So are you calling in
Go
on
ahead.
my airwaves to tell me that because you're not attracted to a transgender woman, that person is a woman? Is that what you're doing?
That's what it feels like to gay men. That's what it feels like to gay men.
I don't see how this
Of course, there
relates
are some that can tolerate it.
Excuse me. Hello?
Go ahead.
I'm not really sure how a man's opinion of whether or not another XY chromosomer is a woman has any bearing in this conversation. So one XY chromosomer is looking at another XY chromosomer and saying because you have gotten a certain amount of surgeries or take a certain amount of hormones that you are a woman now. I don't really see how this relates, because in the world of gay male sex, ain't nobody in there getting pregnant. So I don't expect for you to have any appreciation for the uterus. So I want you to make this conversation make sense, please.
Right. All right. So here I go. I have full appreciation to the uterus, and the thing with the attraction towards transgender women is because they are too close to a woman. They look like a woman. If I'm a gay man, I like a gay man.
But a transgender woman is not a woman. So a transgender woman is a person who's had a lot of surgeries.
It's about the face too.
Right, but
it's about the whole body.
They've gotten surgeries and are taking hormones to be able to have those female-esque features. So what is the point?
Right. So when all that goes through and the hormones kick in and hormone blockers and all that, that is pretty much a female. And some females get their periods late. A lot of females can get pregnant. So pregnancy, I don't think pregnancy can be just boxed into the identifier.
You know something? I'm sorry. Please do not make me lose it on you on the phone this evening, because I'm confused as to why a person with a penis is calling in to help me define what female is. I don't see it. I don't see how you, in all of your male wisdom, are calling in to talk to a woman about what a woman is. Make this make sense, Nadine.
All right.
I want to know, how does your male opinion have any bearing in this conversation?
Because I'm on the LGBTQ spectrum.
Just because you're on the LGBTQ, you're a man. And part of the contention of this conversation is the fact that there are XY people, XY chromosomers, who take a bunch of hormones and then in their misogyny are trying to force their male opinion onto us, saying that they are women because they feel like women. And so now I have a person who has a doggone penis and his XY chromosomes coming onto my airwaves to tell me what he feels a woman is. Goddamn no. Not today, bro. Not today. Not today. I don't understand this. All right. So, listen, I have learned so much from this conversation. I've learned a lot. And I've learned that even though people, so there is a difference in behavior. There is an inherent difference in behavior between the way that people who have been socialized a certain way come in on the phones. There's a difference in behavior. Like, there are people who are like, oh, I'm a woman, but they exhibit very masculine characteristics of over talking people, cutting them off, mansplaining to them, not allowing them to speak. And it's like, you have an idea of what female is, you have an idea of what woman is, but you don't have the biological makeup that has the brain of a woman with the parts of the brain and the genetic the genetic evolution that makes women more cooperative than competitive, right? And so it's like, you can think that you know what a thing is, but that's your arrogance making you feel that you think that you know what a thing is because of what exists on the outside. There is a psychological connection, that there is a spiritual connection that a woman has to her womb. It's a part of who it is that you are as woman. And so it's like, you can think that you know what a thing is, but you can really only pantomime it. You cannot be a thing that you do not have the biological structure to be. And whether or not, so I've been here, so listen, I've heard about the energy of the fallopian tubes and the connection that the ovaries and the fallopian tubes has to the universe. I've heard about that, right? That it's an antenna of sorts, and that being a woman is a very sacred person to be. And so, no, you don't get to come in without the biology of woman. You don't get to come in having been born with testicles and a penis and socialize as a boy and then make your transition, and with none of the biological markers of being female, with none of the biological markers of being a woman, automatically say, oh, I'm a woman because I feel like one, when you don't really know the half. And it's in your male arrogance, in your misogyny, that you don't feel that the uterus matters. We talked about this in the last conversation that we had about it, that a trans man goes to a man and say, I'm a man, and he's be like, where's your dick? You got no dick. But we respect penis so much more than we respect uterus, when uterus is integral to the bringing forth of human life. We need less penises than we need uteruses, because the uterus is the incubation chamber for all human beings. And the uterus deserves respect. The uterus deserves respect. Listen, there are things that the male person is tasked with when coming into contact with a woman. You get socialized very early on to know that you are stronger. You get socialized very early on to know that you are the protector of women. You protect girls. You get socialized to know that you have to control your strength. You have to control your temper. You don't see heterosexual men getting all bitchy with women. You don't see it. So though this transgender man feels, oh, I am a man, you don't really know what it is like to truly be a man, because there's responsibility that comes along with the penis. There's responsibility that comes along with using a part of your body to bring another person's pleasure. There's a responsibility that comes along with being the person that fertilizes human life. There's a responsibility that comes along with that. So it's like, because a woman's orgasm is not tied to impregnation. I don't think that's the right word. Impregnation. A woman's orgasm is not life producing. There's a cycle that a woman is on where the egg travels from the fallopian tube and it goes down a journey. So whether she climaxes or not, that egg is still going to go down the journey. A man's climax is directly tied to fertilization. There's a responsibility that comes with a man's climax when a man is climaxing into a woman, into a womb holder. There's a responsibility that comes along with that. And I think that when people don't give respect to the other genders, we have things like a trans woman going into an MMA fight with a biological woman and cracking her cranium. Because this person is like, oh, I'm a woman. I'm trans, I feel like a woman, and then you go in and you pulverize a biological woman. You crack her cranium, and she leaves that match on a goddamn stretcher. Because a person who was born male, who however it is, in whatever psychosis exists inside of their mind, they felt that there was no difference between them and the bio female, so they went in there and cracked her cranium, and she had to be carried out on a damn stretcher from the match. So it's in this person's arrogance that they say, oh, well, I'm a woman, I should be able to do this, I should be able to get into the ring with this woman. What's the difference? Even though I'm 6'4", because the gatekeepers of life, women, and I think we've lost the boundaries. I think we've lost the boundaries where, and you know what? And I don't think that people do it to be mean. I don't think that XY chromosomers do it to be mean. I think that there is really truly a part of them on the inside that truly, really desires and wishes that they were a woman. But they know that they're physically stronger than, and then they'll make up their excuses. Oh, well, I don't really work out. You know, I'm scrawny. I'm not really that athletic anyway. But the muscle fibers are different. The muscle fibers are different. And then you enter into these situations where you don't respect a person's femaleness. And there's no instinct inside of you to protect women because you feel that you are a woman. And this is where it becomes dangerous, where people feel that they are entitled to the space of biological women because they have the feeling on the inside that they're a woman. I feel like I'm a woman, so therefore I'm entitled to the space that has been relegated for biological women. And the skeletal system is different, the brain is different, the hormones that are naturally pumped through are different. And it's like, it matters. Last night, things just descended into madness. It just descended into madness. It descended into madness. It got to the point that someone called in, said that they were having a period through the place where their penis used to be after their mother had their penis chopped off at 6 years old. They had no uterus, but had blood coming out. And see, this is the thing. The person is not educated enough, or was not educated enough about menstruation to know that menstruation is not blood. Oh gosh. Oh my goodness. It was a mess. Now this morning, people who didn't bring their asses over to the show are now coming out and they're calling me transphobic. All right, so the phone lines are open. The phone number is 323. All right, you're on the air live with Tonya. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Shadi. I got through. I want to talk about last night. Oh my God. Listen, I just want to say this. I am someone of the LGBTQIA community, and hell no. Trans women are not women. I'm sorry. You could never be my mother. I'm sorry. My mother is a woman. My mother gave birth to me. I just saw this, like, some of the things I've heard last night. Oh my God. Whew, it's crazy. It really is crazy. A woman, the things that makes a person a woman, like, you know, giving birth and, you know, going through menstrual cycles every month. These are the things that makes a woman. And the other things that makes a man, those are things that makes a man a man. Like, it's just crazy. I don't understand why people say that trans women are women. Like, okay, let me just give you a description of myself, okay? You listening? Let me give you a description of myself. I am someone that I'm very feminine and, I get my nails done, my hair done, I wear makeup, I do everything that a woman does. But I cannot sit in a circle with women and thinking that I go through the same struggle with them. I cannot relate to, you getting your period every month, or, you giving birth, or, just things of that sort.
Are you
That's what makes a woman.
Are you transgender?
You say I don't even want to label myself. I'm me. I still have a penis. When I go home, listen, I go to work every day. I wear my makeup, my hair done. I wear my clothes. I wear my Louis Vuitton bag, my Gucci bag. But when I go home and I take my clothes off and I take a shower, I'm a man. Okay? I like it when I have girlfriends and everything. They call me sis. They call me she and everything. But when it all boils down to it, I know I'm not the same as a woman. Like I'm not you. I can never be you. I can never be you. It doesn't matter how much.
Right. So let's explore that a little bit, right? So you don't feel as if you're transgender. So you're in a different category. Being feminine and feeling that you're transgender are two different things. So like a person like RuPaul. RuPaul will go in drag and all this other stuff, but is RuPaul transgender? Does RuPaul have gender dysmorphia? Does RuPaul, you know what I mean? So you don't have gender dysmorphia. So the issue is people who have gender dysmorphia, who feel that they were born and their body was like a birth defect, like nature went wrong. They feel that they were born in the wrong body, so therefore they go about the process of changing the physical, and then they feel, okay, well, since I feel that I was born, since I feel like I am a woman on the inside, I am a woman. So there's a difference between the way you feel, because you don't feel as if you were born in the wrong body. You have your penis, you enjoy using it, I can imagine.
Right. And no, let me just explain this to you. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. It was a point in time where I have gone to the doctor and I wanted to take hormones and I wanted to get butt injections and everything. But as time went on and I really started to think, that's still not going to make me one day happy and say, you know what, I am a woman.
Okay.
I can do all of those things and I still wouldn't. That wouldn't change anything because I have to get altered and get work done so my body to feel like a woman. It's not going to feel the same. It's not going to feel the same. So I cannot sit in the same circle with, biological women.
You're saying at one point you felt that you were transgender. At one point you felt that you wanted to get estrogen and all that other stuff.
Go the extra mile, take the hormones and I never thought about getting a sex change. Never thought about that. I didn't want to go that far. Like, that's really risky. I just don't want to do that,
Okay.
But
okay.
I don't.
Okay, so what?
So you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. So what? So you know what? When people, and I like to help explore ideas with people so that we can understand, so that you could flesh out your ideas, etc. So what message would you give to people who are transgender, who
I just want to say this. A natural born woman don't have to transition. A natural born woman is a woman. You know what I mean? My mother is who she is. And she doesn't have to transition to get her sex changed or anything. You can feel how you feel, but the fact of the matter is you were not born a woman. If you are born a woman, you are a woman. I can't get pregnant. I can't have. These are the things that make a woman a woman. Like it's more than just feeling feminine, or in that kind of way to say, you know what, I'm a woman. It's more than just having feminine traits or feeling girly or wanting to express or embrace your femininity. That's not the only thing that makes a woman because you have lesbians.
So then what would you say to transgender people who claim that they are the sex that they identify as? What would you say?
Sometimes I feel that a lot of transgenders, they just want to fit in and they want to be in the spotlight, try to take over natural biological women. Sometimes maybe it has something to do with not self-love, because there's a lot of transgender women that actually transition, but then they regret it, and then they want to detransition. That's another thing. So it's a lot that takes effect to transgenders, and it's
okay.
I can't. Okay.
All right.
Let me put it this way.
Well, you know what? I would love to talk to you forever, but I'm trying to keep the calls 5 minutes, and we've gone 7 minutes.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm watching it live right now.
All right. Well,
sorry,
thank you so much for calling in.
I just wanted to say that.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, so the phone lines are open. I want everybody to be able to get their voice in, and in order to do that, we've got to keep the calls short. So make sure that you have your point succinct and ready to go. All right, so back to back. You're on the air live with Tonya. What's your name?
Talia.
Hi, Talia. So talk to us. What is your comment today? I need you to turn down your computer in the background and just listen to me through the phone, because there's a delay. So you have to turn down your computer so you're not confused.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So basically, I used to watch you years ago. You actually had a video with me about me a long time ago. You had posted a video, and it was about basically, someone writing to you about their story, how they were a young kid and they wanted to transition. Do you remember this?
No, I don't, but you can say more so I can.
Okay, so it was about maybe 2000 and maybe 10. I had wrote you and I told you that I was from the suburbs of Chicago, and I was a young kid who was struggling with identity and who I wanted to be and things. And you made a video and you read the letter, out loud. And, it was a video.
Mm-hmm.
About maybe, 2010.
Okay.
You don't remember at all? I don't know.
I remember in 2010, I spoke about the transgender issue, but I remember doing a video about a trans man. But I don't.
This one was.
Mm-hmm.
This one was way before you ever spoke. It was like way before all this commotion with the transgender stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This was like years and years and years ago, because I would always watch your videos because I always admired you.
Okay.
And so, I would watch them, and I felt confided. I thought I could express myself and talk to you and communicate with you and send you my letter, and then you made a video about it.
Okay.
But I get it, you don't remember. But I just want to simply say that I finally found you again, and I'm happy to see that you're still here and things. And I wanted to tell you that from a transgender perspective, I wanted to tell you that, listen, we don't have all the answers ourselves. We don't know completely what this means to us. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like no matter what, this is the biggest form of flattery to a woman, to females. I think that you guys are amazing, powerful. You know what I'm saying? That
Mm-hmm.
a person of the opposite gender would transition to become a woman. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of the biggest forms of flattery. And I would never want a female to ever feel like, okay, like, it's, kind of shady, because it's like, it's admiration. You know what I mean?
I hear what you're saying. I mean, the white people on Instagram who are darkening their skin and braiding their hair so it could be fluffy, and who are blackfishing, I mean, they may say that that's a form of flattery that we should accept too. So go ahead.
Yeah, but then when you were saying that about the, am I transphobic? I can see, in your face as you're, asking these questions like about this, that you're not really here for it. I can see it. So it's kind of like, I feel like that you are transphobic. And I get it. You may not understand it. It's a lot of commotion. It's a lot of stuff people are, identifying. And I get you're about the truth and everything like that. But I just feel like you just let people be themselves. And you may not understand everything. There's nothing that we can tell you that will make you completely understand why this is our path.
There's nothing that we can tell you. There's no way we can express it. Just let us have that. Just respect us in our life and just simply her, she. It's just like it won't kill someone to do that. We're not bothering, we're just trying to live our lives. You know what I mean? And the person that said something before, the transgender woman, you know, like you said, we don't know all the answers. We don't know everything. Everyone has a different perspective of transgender. But all I can simply tell you is it is an experience that we cannot explain to you, that only we know, and all we can ask for is you to tolerate that and just accept us.
Okay.
What's so difficult about that? Allowing us to live our lives.
So you feel that I am transphobic. So help me understand what your definition of transphobic is so that I can hold that up against who it is that I can examine myself to be. What's your definition of transphobic?
Well, I would say that I can tell, when I look at you, I can tell that you wouldn't accept it, but you would tolerate it. And that's all we can ask for. I would say that it's not fear that you have, but I can tell that you're not here for it. That you don't,
I'm not here for what?
That you're very, right now you're questioning me in a way that's kind of like, oh, well, what does this mean? Or, oh, well, you just said that this is this, you know, it's kind of like you're trying to catch us up in our not being real about ourselves or something.
Listen, if you'd like to have a conversation with me, then we can converse. I asked you, you called me transphobic. I'm asking you, what do you feel what's your definition of transphobic, and where do you see that I meet up with the definition of transphobic? So let's start with your definition of transphobic.
My definition of transphobic would be to basically be against it, not accept us, you know, not call us our names, you know, or you know, anything to respect us, to you know, even ask a question. The fact that you're asking the question, am I trans, and that you know that there lies some transphobia there. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Well, so let's explore that a little bit. So you said that you feel that I do not respect transgender people and do not feel that transgender people should exist. And that's where you feel the transphobia, and you feel that asking the question is indicative of there being transphobia. Is this what your stance is?
No, my stance is that I can feel that you're trying, like I said, you're trying to basically, so what's trying to connect the dots on what does this mean? What does this mean? It's like, it's not coming from a loving place. It's not coming from a Tonya TKO loving place. It's coming from a detect and analyze type of place. Like you have to dissect to see if you're okay with it. That's where it's coming from. The stance and everything. That's what I'm feeling.
Okay. And you feel that as a biological woman that I am wanting to stop trans feminine women or transgender women from living and existing, that I'm trying to...
I never said that.
Well, it sounded as if you said, and I'm listening to what it is that you're saying, I'm asking you a question, then you answered. You said that why can't we just allow you all to live and live your lives without having to understand it? So I'm asking you whether or not you feel that I am encroaching into a trans feminine space and attempting to stop trans feminine women from living.
Because it's, like I said, because it's the fact that you're making videos like this asking about transphobia, and so that lets me know right there that there's an underlying issue between it. And you need to be the one to express that. You're asking and analyzing me, but I want to know from you, do you accept us? Can you accept us? Because it doesn't seem like you can, because I feel like you're trying to catch me up in something about my identity and my life, and that's not fair. I feel like we're not hurting you by walking around in dresses and wearing wigs and stuff. That's not offending a biological woman. And I feel like we allow other people's lives to get in the way of our own.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's do this. If there were people who were just walking around in dresses and just living, that would be one thing. You know, you go about your business and you live, that's one thing. Attempting to sue the Girl Scouts because they feel that trans girls should be in the Girl Scouts, bringing Black Girls Rock under fire and demanding that trans women be on the not only in the program, but on stage presenting that trans women deserve to be in that space and that trans girls deserve to be in the space of Black Girls Rock, taking away funding from women's battered shelter because the trans feminine are not allowed in the women's battered shelter, having the female symbol removed from always maxi pads. So if it were just, oh, I'm living my life, I'm dressing up, I feel that I'm a woman, that's one thing. However, now when the encroaching begins, when the entitlement begins, and the feeling of deserving to be or being owed space in a certain place, when that starts happening, then I, as a self-love specialist, must speak up. And I must say, the most loving thing that a person can do is acknowledge their journey, their specific, unique journey. And I think that you're not really qualified to speak on my stance without really having watched the 7 hours of videos that we have already spent in this week alone. And then when we get to this, now we're coming upon 9 hours of videos where I have spoken extensively. And there is not anything that I have spoken against trans women. And if there are people who are calling me transphobic, right? Of course, I'm going to ask them, what is their definition of transphobia? And if you feel that you're going to get caught up or like I'm trying to trip you up, that's a clear indication that your definition is flaky, loose, and not substantiated. So if a person is going to call me a thing, I need that thing to be defined, and I need to be able to hold me up against that thing and see whether or not I fit the criteria of that thing. Because listen, I love myself and I want people to love themselves as well. This is why I do what I do. This is why I wrote this book, the Book of Affirmation Self-Love. And this is a powerful book to help you rewrite your subconscious programming and reattune you for self-love. And what it is that I see is I see a lot of transgender people who do not love themselves enough to acknowledge their journey and the viability thereof. Transitioning from male to female is a journey that deserves to be recognized, not forgotten like it was some mistake that happened in the past.
Okay, so if it deserves to be recognized, then why is it that there's a problem when things are changing as far as like, oh, you say the next pads and all these different things are changing, then why is it a problem then? And all I'm saying is you have to get with the times. The times are changing. You know, people are trying to express themselves. Aren't people now expressing themselves more and finding out what it means about the world? Let me address
that. As a biological woman and as a person who advocates for Black women, right? I advocate for Black women. That's the journey that I know. And that is the most downtrodden group in America is the Black biological. Listen, excuse me. If you'd like to have a conversation, we can have a conversation. I know, but excuse me. You asked me a question, right? If you'd like for me to answer the question that you asked, and you see this behavior that you're exhibiting right here is very masculine. Cutting me off and attempting not to allow me to speak is very masculine.
Because I feel like
you've been on the phone for 12 years. Let's take a survey. Let's take a survey. Have I allowed this caller to speak? If I have allowed this caller to speak, put up the number 4. If I have not allowed this caller to express themselves, please put up a number 5. If you feel that I'm being talked over and not allowed to speak, put up the number 6. I would like to be able to see those numbers, because it's like I'm giving you the floor. I've had you on my airwaves for 13 minutes. And you're still saying that and then you ask me a question, and then when I attempt to answer the question, you then start cutting me off. Right? Why is it a problem for always maxi pads to remove the female symbol? The female symbol represents the uterus. The female symbol with the circle, the line, and this, it represents the uterus and the fallopian tubes. Having that removed is the removing of the importance of the uterus in the period. Only people with uteruses have periods. Only people with uteruses have periods. Why is that an issue? Listen, I have no issue with a person coming in and things changing. I have no issue with change. As a matter of fact, I embrace change. When I was living in my car, I had to say these affirmations to be able to rewrite my programming to rise out of that situation. I am not inflexible to change. What I am inflexible to are people bullying and encroaching upon a space that already exists for people who fit a certain criteria. So I have no issue with people saying, you know what? I am this new thing that is rising up and I will create this criteria for me. The issue is that the people who are encroaching upon the space that has already been created by people who fit a criteria, the people who are encroaching don't fit the criteria. And in their misogyny and masculine glory, they are asserting that they demand to be in the space that has already been carved out by the people who occupy that space right now. That's the problem that I have. And that's what I am intolerant to. Yes. Am I phobic? Now, I want to hear the definition of what this phobic is so that we can test whether or not Tonya is phobic.
Tonya, I never wanted to get into this type of like an argument or any type of that with you. You know, I really like the videos. I really think that you're a really nice person, really cool. So all I want to simply say is that you speak a lot about self-love and that, you know, you have a affirmation book about self-love and things like that. But I feel like what I have noticed about women, because I really, like I said, I really take up for women and all kind of stuff. What I've noticed about women is the ones that love themselves the most don't mind about what it is or what's changing about in gender. They don't care. They accept you for who you are. But the ones that don't have that complete self-love, those are the ones that have something to say. You see what I'm saying?
No, I'm actually going to challenge you on that.
And that's what I don't like. And I feel like for you to be speaking on self-love,
I'm going to challenge you on
have
that.
a little bit more self-love.
Your argument,
there can't be no self-love.
Your argument is fallacious. Your argument is fallacious. It's not a viable argument. Because a person who, listen, it's not a viable argument because when it comes to self-love, loving who it is that you are and the unique space that you hold in life, the unique space that you hold in the process of allowing life to come into this earth. When a person loves themselves, they do not allow the essence of who it is that they are to be downgraded or disrespected. The uterus is integral. The uterus is integral to life coming onto earth. And anybody who cannot say out loud uteruses matter, they cannot be in the conversation.
Uteruses matter.
All right then. Just like Black Lives Matter.
And also another thing too is I don't ever want there is a difference between a female and a transgender woman.
Yes,
there completely is. I don't want you guys to ever feel like we're taking over or we're jumping in your lane and we're the same thing as you or the second. We're not. I'm not out.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing I do want to say. You know.
All right, you sat here on my airwaves and told me that I need to love myself more because I'm advocating for women being able to hold the space that is important. There is no transgender person who has come onto this earth who didn't pass through the keeper of the womb. There's no transgender person who doesn't owe their life and ability to be on this earth to the person who held the womb that held them and pushed them successfully into this world.
Well, absolutely. But are we denying that by being ourselves?
Right. So tell me where my lack of self-love comes in because I'm advocating for the important role. Yes, let me hear this. I'm listening.
Your lack of self-love is the fact that you basically said that, okay, well, when things are being taken away and things are changing as far as gender and maxi pads and all these things are changing, you know, you mentioned that right there lets me know. You know what I'm saying? That there's a problem.
You know what? Listen, no funding should be taken away from a women's battered shelter because a transgender person.
But why can't we have funding? Why can't we step up? We're a community of people.
Right.
Too.
You know
what?
Listen. You know what? Why don't you do this? Why don't you advocate with a transgender group to be able to get battered shelter for transgender women? Get a black trans rocks. Get specific. Get what it is that you need.
They are doing
All
stuff
right.
like that.
All right.
But why can't we feel included when we appreciate you guys the most?
You're not entitled.
Why can't black women be included when we appreciate black women the most?
You are so you know what? I've had to put you on mute. I've had to put you on mute because you have the audacity to come here and talk to me about what it is that transgender women deserve. You do not deserve to be in the space of biological women. You don't deserve, you're not entitled to be there. You biologically, you are, listen, so then where is the lack of self-love coming from, the claim? Because you're projecting your own lack of self-love onto me.
But listen, Tonya, I already created a space where I simply said, listen.
So then you know what? Call your people out. Listen, I've had to put you on mute again. Call your people out. When you see that there are trans feminine people who are actively advocating for the erasure of the womb holders, call them out. Don't come to me and talk about how I don't love myself. Go talk to those people and talk to them about how they don't love themselves because they don't feel that there is a difference between a person who was born with testicles.
If you love yourself, you would respond from a place of love and not a place of argument.
You know what? Unfortunately, you don't understand what real love looks like. You don't understand what it looks like.
Girl, unfortunately, fuck you. And you don't even have a man or anything going on with your motherfucking life. You're sitting there talking about a group of people, and you're sitting there talking about a group of people that you don't understand. Ain't nobody else fighting for you guys. The black man ain't fighting for you.
Keep saying it.
So it is the black trans women that are stepping up to say something about your ass, and for you not to accept us is rude. How dare you?
Go ahead. Right.
The men aren't looking for you. The men are not looking for black women, et cetera, et cetera. But I love black women, and we love them. That we decided to become that. And you have a nerve to be sitting at us. It was without appreciation. That's wrong. We love you. We're the only ones. We're showing you that we love you because we admire you so much that we're sitting here dressed like this. And you have to predict you have to sit there and debate if you're going to be on my side or not. When nobody else is standing for you, the black man ain't stuffing up for you. Nobody is, but we are. We will fight for you. I will fight for a black woman, all kinds of stuff. I came out of one. I'm never saying that I will become a full-fledged female. I'm not saying that's impossible. I give you respect for that. But let us have ours because ain't nobody fighting for you but us.
Right. So you feel no, listen, you said fuck me. And then you went on to how black men don't want us and how we must have you all in our spaces when you come from the place of fuck you and nobody wants you. Because the struggle comes from within you.
And that's all I'm trying to tell you is that all I'm trying to tell you is at the end of the day, right or wrong, is anybody else fighting for black women? Yes or no?
Yes.
Who is fighting for black women besides other black women? Black men ain't doing it. White men ain't doing it. White women ain't doing it.
Right.
But guess what? The LGBT community,
now I get
the gay men that you confide in as friends, they stick up for you. The transgender women, they stick up for you. We got your back.
Right. So now I understand. Now I understand. So you feel that because black women are the most downtrodden and you feel that nobody else is fighting for the black women, that those dumbass bitches should allow trans women to be in the fight because anybody else wants them.
I'm black and my family is all black.
Right. Because you listen. You know, I don't know. I've had to put you on mute again because you're going off in your full masculine glory. I don't know if there's anybody out there who saw Hamilton when King, I believe it was it King James came out and started singing, I love you so much that I'll send my battalion to kill your friends and family. So when this transgender person on the line is talking about how much they quote unquote love Black women, but then going to talk about fuck you, don't nobody else want you, so you might as well accept us and accept us encroaching upon your space. That's the full crux of it right there. Listen, thank you so much for calling in. It was great to be able to have you to expose yourself and the real deal on the line. Thank you. You don't love me because
you did nothing but
right. Listen, I had to cut that person off. It's just too much. All right. So it's like when you as a so what ends up happening is we have these people who are physically stronger, who are bred to be 33% larger, who then say, listen, you're on the air, but give me just one moment. I'm speaking right now. I'm going to come to you in a second, okay?
Okay.
So the typical male is bred to be 33% larger, and even at the same size is 33% stronger than the average woman. So we have these people who are saying, you know what, I feel as if I'm a woman, allow me into your space. Even though I'm stronger, bigger, taller, and have more aggressive testosterone than you do, right? And then at any given time, when this person decides to act unstably, you don't know where their mind is at, and you don't know whether or not they don't respect the fact that you are smaller and weaker than them, because now they've attempted to put themselves in the same tile as you. So they're like, oh, I'm a woman, so I can F you up. Like that person right there who calls in on the line that you all are putting the 8s up about, who would feel safe around that person? Who would trust their physical safety or the safety of their loved ones around this person who is obviously unstable, who has not done the internal work, and is so deluded and delusional as to not even be self-aware enough to know that they haven't done the work to be able to even be granted a space at the table? Who would? I wouldn't trust, like if this person came looming over me and I knew at any given time that they could just lash out like that, and then what? Think that they could start trying to box me down? I don't want to speculate about whether or not you think that that person is physically violent, but when a person starts going off like that and they don't respect, a person who doesn't respect your boundaries, who disrespects you as a person, who starts talking about how other people don't want you and how you better be appreciative of what it is that they're bringing and better accept whatever in the hell it is that they're bringing. These are the classic signs of abuse. Now you mix that up with a person who naturally produces more testosterone than you and are on some unknown cocktail of hormones, and then you put them one-on-one with you, and then you wonder whether or not you feel safe. And behavior like that is not behavior that helps the more feminine, listen, the female holding space of the species feel more comfortable. No.